morning, everybody. I just woke up. Well, just being relative. I woke up about a half an hour ago. What does chronic fatigue really feel like? It is now Saturday morning. I have worked my part-time job that used to be a full-time job for 5 days. Fortunately, I can still work barely.
I'm sorry.
And I feel it. I would consider today to be a usual day, not a extreme day. It's about the average of how I feel anymore. Despite a full night's sleep, because you're not rest, although you feel an intense urge to sleep, kind of like if you had narcolepsy, because you're exhausted. You don't get refreshed, you're just as exhausted, except more so when you wake up because you have sleep inertia and that same tired that everyone experiences when they're just waking up. Imagine having a bad flu, and then while you have this flu, you make the mistake of getting intoxicated, so you have a hangover and the flu. It's not the fatigue that everyone experiences. There was nothing like this in my life until I got this disorder. I had a bad virus infection where I couldn't even get off the floor. I had to crawl to the bathroom. It was a really bad bug. And then since then, nothing has been the same for me. It was like day and night. Post-exertional malaise, the body reacts negatively to exertion of energy, because that's the main problem with the disorder, is the body loses its capacity to convert things into energy. So the more you do in other disorders, the more you do, the more you can build up your resilience and your capacity to do more. Where in this, the more you do, you drain the battery, and the body doesn't bounce back. Instead, it's like if you went and did a bunch of work while you had a bad virus, and instead you just run yourself down and you wind up sick. Your symptoms are way worse, and by the time my work week is done, I am exhausted. And then I do my best to somehow manage resting up and still spending some quality time with my partner. It was much easier when it was winter, because I had an excuse to not do much chasing after him, except to go to a grocery store or something and do a little walking, and then I could sit around, and it was easier to cover up the extent of how I feel. Now that it's summer, it's really challenging, because we used to be a very active couple, and I can't. A lot of times I tell him no. I don't feel well, and I don't want that to eventually strain the relationship back to how it feels. I'm thinking about that because it's Saturday, and I'm gonna wind up over there. Doing relationship time. Work week is work, and then weekend is relationship time. And I feel like I'm burning the candle at both ends, though I don't do very much. Um, I don't have enough in me to give anymore to life. It just sort of takes your life from you. Like when you have a bad virus and you're laid out on the couch. There's sleepy tired. That happens sometimes. And then there's physically tired. Like when you have the flu and your limbs are just really heavy and you're drained just getting up and walking to the bathroom. And everything kind of generally aches. And you're weak. You're weaker than usual if you went to your job or whatever. Something that you've done a million times before is just simply exhausting. Standing, waiting for your coffee to brew is simply exhausting. Sweeping your floor, doing your dishes, it's like I can do the dishes or I can make the dinner and eat it, but I can't do both. I have to wait. Frequently I just leave the dishes now, and on the weekends when my boyfriend picks me up, he does my week's worth of dishes for me. It's not laziness, it's a choice. You have to choose what you're gonna do. I don't cook anymore. I don't even want to bother. It's too much work. My extent of my cooking is I make smoothies. And sometimes I don't even want to bother with that because it's just too exhausting to deal with that. Standing there, gathering everything, chopping everything, waiting, plus work. Everything is plus work. I have to schedule what I do the rest of the day around work. And I'm still exhausted by the time the weekend rolls around. I'm exhausted all the time, but very exhausted. Welcome to my bathroom. It's the brightest light in the house. Even brighter than my bright lights. I come in here right away and try to get light into my eyeballs. Because supposedly that's supposed to help you wake up. It takes it from a 10 to a 9.8. It clears my mind, it doesn't clear my body. When people say chronic fatigue, people think, well, I've had that, or they know what it's like because they've spent 3 days without sleep, or they've run themselves ragged. So I said the closest I can relate it to is getting a hangover while you have the flu. I can't tell if I've slept an hour or I've slept 8. Have you ever been woken up in the middle of the night and on 2 hours sleep and then had to get your day going? How foggy your brain is and how wrecked you feel on those 2 hours sleep for the rest of the day, and how you can tell the difference because your body feels hollow and sore, nauseous, dizzy, etc. And your brain is really foggy when you've had just an hour or 2 of sleep and you have to just do the rest of your day as if it's normal. My body is in such a state 24/7 that I actually check my watch or clock before I fall asleep, so that when I wake up in the middle of the night, I don't get out of bed. because I feel fully rested, as fully rested as I ever am. Whether I sleep for an hour, or I sleep for 8, or I sleep for 10, it doesn't matter. I still feel like I slept for 1. Rest, sleep doesn't fix the problem because it's a biological problem. It's not a problem of being underslept or overworked. Your body is fighting something in its mitochondria, in its cells, in its nervous system. And you are run down as if you are sick. And you just never got better. You got a little better. I'm not crawling to the restroom anymore. But that was when I actually had the virus that's triggered this whole cascade of BS. But you're never back to yourself. It's like you got sick and it never went away. I could have said this more concisely, but I'm really foggy because this is real time. I just got out of bed about 45 minutes ago, and I'm very disoriented and stuff. There's sleepy tired, where you feel like you never slept, and you could fall asleep and sleep for the whole day. There's physically tired, and the physical tired feels like the flu and a hangover. That your body aches from head to toe, general aches, sometimes trigger points and precise specific areas are very painful. And you feel your limbs feel heavy. Like I said, it's like walking around with 2 hours sleep with a flu and a hangover. You just feel a wreck, and your brain feels the same. Brain fog is like being sick with the flu and having a hangover and 2 hours of sleep. You are just not, you're not yourself. You can't recall words. You find yourself in the room and you're like, why did I come in here? Frequently. At work, I'll go the wrong way down the hallway. I'll redo my same work again, and get halfway down the floor before I realize that I've done it. You're not on the ball at all. And I occasionally run fevers, low-grade fevers, that have never been explained, but apparently sometimes in this disorder you do have that, so it could be from that. You have swollen lymph nodes in your armpit or your neck. My neck lymph node, so you can kind of see it when I swallow, shaded. They're always swollen. My neck is always swollen. God. But yeah, it's a flu that never ends. This is the flu that never ends. Yes, it goes on and on, my friends. Some people started saying, just get over it. Just take a walk and it'll be fine. Pull up by your bootstraps, etc. But it never goes away. It's around the clock. And the more you do, the more you pay for it. And because it's post-exertionally related, like when you have the flu, if you do a bunch, you're going to make yourself sicker because your body is compromised. If you do a bunch, it's not like you're deconditioned or out of shape. I didn't suddenly get out of shape overnight. if you do more life, I enjoy my life a little bit if I happen to feel good on a day, or I try to do too much with my boyfriend on the weekend, or by the end of a work week, which I've done this job for like 11 years, and I used to do it full time. Depending if I did just that little bit too much, I get sick, and I have a really bad day. And like I said, that can come in one of three ways. There's always a steady level. It's like the ocean. You're always drained 24/7, 7 days a week. Imagine getting sick and never, ever recovering, never getting better again. That's my life. That's what it's like to live in my body. Never getting better again. Having a cold, a bad, bad cold, and never recovering. Ever, ever, every day. Over and over and over again. And if you do just a little bit too much living, instead of being the walking dead, you pay for it by getting doubly sick. And that doubly sick is, like I said, it's like the ocean. There's always water there, but sometimes a storm kicks up and the waves are really high, and it's dangerous and scary and sucky and shitty. And those waves are either pain. When I made that crying video the other day, I was in excruciating pain. Fortunately, I don't know. Maybe I'd rather deal with the pain than the chronic exhaustion. It robs you of your ability to live your life. At exhausted to the bone, exhausted. I thought I understood that until I had this. What it was to be tired. What it was to be exhausted. No, I did not. Anyway, it either comes in pain or sleepy tired, where you could sleep the whole day away, or crushing exhaustion, where your normal activities, even your new normal level of activities, which is minimized from your former daily living. That's how severe the chronic fatigue is that you are physically incapable. Now that you don't feel like it, you're physically incapable of doing what you used to do. Like overnight. There's been professional athletes who got this and used to do marathons and play professional basketball and soccer and stuff, and then overnight they couldn't hardly walk around the block. That coffee mug is now, instead of 8 ounces, it's now 8 pounds. And you're like, so crushing exhaustion, or some combination of the three. Sleepy tired and pain, crushing exhaustion and sleepy tired, pain and crushing exhaustion, and that's a bad day. And that cry video, like I said, that I filmed, I actually was not that exhausted. I'm more exhausted and sleepy tired today than I was in that video. I was just in so much pain. I was in a lot of pain, and I have yet to figure out, because post-exertional malaise, which is the cost you pay later for doing a little bit too much, more than your illness level lets you do. You expend energy that you don't have, and you get sick. I have yet to figure out whether that's my job, the cumulative effect of day after day after day after day after day after day after day of doing my job, or doing one or two too much things on the weekend with my partner, because post-exertional malaise can hit you. It's not instantaneously. You pay for it within 48 hours to like 64 hours after the activity. In studies, they had people do treadmill tests and things and watch their VO2 max and their heart rate, and their ability, their general ability is declined. And they kept them in hospitals and monitored them for their corresponding VO2 and oxygen saturation and all that crap. And later, after they made them do a lot of treadmill work, and it pops up not immediately. It pops up within a day to 2 or 3 days. So it's hard for me to pinpoint what area of my life I need to trim down. Because in the moment I feel fine, and I try to keep in my head the general amount of activity that I am capable of now and not go past it. Whether I feel, relatively speaking, okay or sick, I try to still not pass that envelope, because if I do, I will get myself sicker and non-functional. Okay, everybody, it has now been 3 hours post-wake up. I have changed out of my pajamas into Yoda, brain fog, yoga suitable clothing. Although I don't think yoga is going to be happening today, I feel extremely physically run down and sore in the interim while the videos were uploading. So the last 3 hours since I just got on, I packed up a little bit, the remaining packing that I had to do to head over to my boyfriend's and my medication. I can't pack until I use it. Changed my clothes. Half-assed made my bed. And half-assed did my makeup. There's a reason why I wear makeup a lot these days. It gives me something to focus on in the morning that doesn't take a lot of energy or thought, because I sort of have a routine that I do. And it soaks up some time while my body gets kicking. I posted my daily video, and I have not yet texted good morning texts or anything. My brain is still not kicking over from sleep mode. I have taken 8 medications, I believe, maybe 9. Psychiatric medications, and chronic fatigue syndrome medications, including bare back and bodies this morning, because I'm sore and I'm sleepy and exhausted. So I wanted the extra caffeine, even though I'm keeping myself on a 2 cup of coffee maximum, and 2 Mountain Dews. It's still not the healthiest. I need to switch to like green tea or something instead of Mountain Dew. some healthier source of caffeine than Diet Mountain Dew. I do diet because sugar is an inflammatory, and chronic fatigue syndrome is an inflammatory illness, and sugar increases your inflammation. So yeah, 3 hours post wake up, and 2 hours since I posted my immediate wake up, I have managed to literally half-assed make my bed. I just folded the blanket and just shoved everything. I need to sit down. I took a lot of medication, some pain medication, and used some muscle cream. I left my hair bedhead. It looks fine today. I'm skipping the shower today. I don't have it in me. I just took one yesterday. It's fine to go a day or two without it. And literally your energy is so low, you have to be picky and choosy. And sometimes, depending on how sick you are, standing and taking a shower really takes it out of you. And I just don't have that kind of energy in me today. So we're not going to do that. Brush my teeth, wash my face, put my makeup on. And that's another reason why my nails are done a lot lately. It's another thing that I can, just focus on, like knitting or crocheting. Just sit and focus on and pass a little time that isn't that mentally or physically taxing. But I haven't really cleaned the house at all, and haven't done any yoga or anything like that. I've just walked as much as is necessary to go back and forth from the kitchen to get more water for my medication, because I don't want to take it on an empty stomach, to go get my medication, and then to pack all that up to go to my boyfriend's house, and go and grab my makeup, and go back to the bathroom, put it on. I made things easier on myself. If you have chronic fatigue syndrome, if you're moving anyway, grab items that belong in other rooms, in other places. I'm so exhausted by the time I get out of work that I fall asleep frequently on the couch, sometimes still in my uniform. I don't even take the time to take my uniform off. Or I just throw it on the floor. My dinner plates are left out. I just don't have anything left to give. By the time I get home, I crash. And so you can make your house cleaning and maintenance a little easier on yourself. If, as you're moving room to room to do other things, grab items that aren't where they belong and drop them off if they're on your path. I am slightly more awake. You can tell by the sound of my voice that I'm still hoarse, as if I just rolled out of bed. I still feel as if I just rolled out of bed, like maybe a normal person would feel if they got just 2 or 3 hours of sleep. I'm not in excruciating pain anywhere, just generalized, which is good. I worry about overuse of OTCs on my long-term intestinal health and liver, so I try to be minimal about that, but I needed it today. I haven't done much in the last 3 hours. Next steps. I feel like I could sleep all day, and my body aches. Next steps are God, I don't know. I guess get up and make myself walk around and take breaks. Walk around and take breaks. Walk around and take breaks. My legs really ache. My elbows, my elbow joints. And I'm experiencing a lot of brain fog and just feeling run down, like I'm coming down with something, though I know I'm not. It's just how it is, round the clock. Well, I've cleaned my living room and my kitchen, not my kitchen, my living room and my dining room, and picked up my porch, took out my trash. I just finished packing up to go to Cameron's. I took 6 more medications. I'm on a lot of medication. And I'm about to eat my breakfast. It is now 6 hours post wake up. Oh, and I put my dishes away. Finally. I haven't done the new ones, but I put my dishes away. I'm not going to clean the bathroom or the kitchen until next week. I don't have any left in me, and I've got to save enough for the relationship. But I'm about to eat my breakfast. I put myself on a 12-hour eating window. Hopefully I'm going to reduce that down to a 10-hour eating window. I have been doing a lot of research into bodily functions and mitochondrial function and everything from integrative medicine, functional medicine, regular medicine, chronic fatigue syndrome, ME, autonomic nervous system conditions, mitochondrial health, the list goes on. I've been doing a lot of research. And one thing I came across was eating windows. Ideally, 8 to 10 hour eating window gives your digestive tract a chance to break and repair, and allows you to get more quality sleep, which is important in this condition, and immune system repair, etc. So I'm working myself down to a 10-hour eating window. No calorie restriction or anything, don't worry about that. But that it's easier for me to wait to have my breakfast than to not eat dinner. So I stop eating after I get out of work. I have a small dinner at about 9:30 at night, and so I don't eat breakfast until 9:30 or 10 o'clock, and that puts me on a 12-hour window. So I'm about to have my breakfast. I'm going to have 5 Brazil nuts and my standard bowl of oatmeal with maca powder in it. I use so many supplements from general health things like probiotics and prenatal multivitamins that I was prescribed to take, and genetic disorder prescription so that I absorb my vitamins and minerals better, and the protein supplements I was required to take, to all sorts of extras. Fish oil supplements and maca powder that supposedly gives you energy, and extra vitamin D, extra vitamin C, the list goes on and on. Anything beetroot to go along with my coenzyme Q10 that I was prescribed. Anything that will help supposedly give you energy, and it just doesn't work. I take so many pills in a day and supplements in a day, and it doesn't work, but who's to say I wouldn't be worse for the wear if I weren't taking them. Pretty proud of myself that I cleaned as much as I did. I neglected my yoga for doing so, but at least my house is a little more in order, and it'll be better to come back to a cleaner house when I come home. And my eyes are looking a little more clear and white, and my voice is a little less hoarse, so I think I'm slowly coming around. I'm gonna go have my breakfast now because I'm hungry. Now, I'm gonna try and knock out, before Cam comes to get me, the rest of my yoga. You can see the fatigue back in my face. But it's important to try gentle exercise like Tai Chi and yoga, Qigong, etc. Because you need to maintain as much muscle mass as possible. When you have chronic fatigue syndrome, it is a disabling condition. It disables you from doing the normal level of physical activity that you used to be able to do. And when you are disabled from doing your previous level of activity, less activity leads to less physical fitness, less muscle mass. We lose muscle mass naturally as we age anyway. And in order to be healthiest in longer life, the healthiest physically people have the most muscle mass. And so gentle exercise, trying to maintain your energy envelope, not let it go, not surpass it or make yourself sick, but force yourself. Just because I'm doing doesn't mean I'm not dragging myself through it. Like I said, it's 24/7. It's like someone with a hangover and the flu. It's willpower, but you have to try to live within your energy envelope that day and not surpass it every day, even though every day you are forcing one foot in front of the other with every step that you take. That you try to take those steps every day and do light body weight balance and training activities to stay retaining as much muscle mass as you can and as much physical stamina and endurance as you can, because if you give in to the exhaustion, to the fact that moving is putting one foot in front of the other by sheer willpower, your legs are lead weights and it's heavy and all you want to do is lay on the couch or go back to bed. The more you do that, the weaker you become, just like somebody who's been hospital bound. Just because you're doing, and you do, and it gives people the impression that you are well because you are doing. Doing is like taking your medicine, because if you do not do, it's like taking insulin for managing your diabetes. If you do not do up to your energy envelope, up to your physical capacities, you will get deconditioned, like someone who's laid up in a hospital bed or has their arm in a sling for a couple months and they go to take it out and their muscles have shrunk and their mobility is decreased. And the less you do, once you develop deconditioning, you'll be less fit, have less endurance, less oxygen mass, less musculature, and you'll be more worn out, more fatigued, more exhausted. And this can be a downward spiral where if you push too much, you get yourself sicker. But if you don't push enough, you can become more and more deconditioned. Exercise and activity can become harder and harder and harder. And due to deconditioning, and you'll become weaker and weaker, and it becomes a vicious cycle where you get sicker, and your CFS goes from mild or moderate to severe. where you are no longer strong enough to maintain basic, between the chronic exhaustion and the pain, you're no longer physically strong enough to maintain basic mobility. So it's really important that you make yourself, even if you have to piecemeal it throughout a day, do these basic body weight exercises, do these basic yoga and stretching and tai chi and things as much as you can. So there's been days that I haven't been able to do it, but as much as you can, and try to live up to your energy envelope, not give in to the urge to, I mean, most people have difficulty not giving in to the urge to just sit around, to motivate yourself to be active, to be physically active. And they feel normal. Imagine how much more difficult it is for someone who is in chronic pain and chronic exhaustion, who feels like they have the flu and a hangover, to force themselves to get up and exercise and do and move and work, and it's exhausting. Everything is exhausting. But it's a matter of maintaining your health where it is and not letting yourself drop below where it is. But for now, that's all I can pull off for now. I will scatter the rest of my yoga throughout the rest of my day. There were some other key factors that I wanted to bring up about chronic fatigue syndrome, myalgic encephalomyelitis. It's mainly considered a neurologic condition. Oversensitization syndrome is a part of it. It's also a part of...
Would you get excited by 2,000 views?
It's also a part of fibromyalgia. Oversensitization syndrome is the sensory aspect of our nervous system in our brain that regulates sensory input and sensory stimulation. Everything from light, sound, smell, touch, fatigue, pain, and it gets turned up to extreme sensitivity so that pain is felt to a whole new level. Fatigue that is existing is felt to a crushing extreme. Sometimes for some people with this disorder, they develop new migraines, vomiting cycles. They can't eat or drink hardly anything without getting ill and puking it up. They can't be touched. They have to wear sunglasses and night masks and be in darkness. The people with migraine have light and fragrance sensitivity and stimulation sensitivity. That is occurring because of, it happens in migraines as well, that oversensitization of the control of that in your brain is cranked up. The volume is cranked up, the reception is cranked up, so that the slightest pain is amplified. I've now been awake for 9 hours. I've taken 2 doses of my medication for energy. I finished my yoga, and I finally shaved my legs. TMI, but it needed doing. And it takes certain stamina to take care of all the little things. Like I said, sometimes just standing in the shower is exhausting. So the extra time it takes to shave all that TMI, but nice and smooth now. As I was saying when the other video ended, in sensitization, where your sensation area of your nervous system and brain is amped up to be hypersensitive to any sort of stimuli of any kind. Also, your natural painkillers reduce. So where the sensation of a pinch feels like a punch because your autonomic nervous system and this area in the brain is amplified, your natural pain dampeners, where a pinch would be naturally suppressed, your natural opiate and receptors in your brain, the chemicals and anti-inflammatories are all reduced. So you have less painkillers and you feel more pain and stimulation. And so any existing pain and ache is exacerbated, doubled, tripled to what it used to be. And there's no pain control. So when you wake up first thing in the morning and y'all ache, but eventually as the day wears on, you stop aching because your natural painkillers kick in. The natural painkillers are not as effective in those with CFS and fibromyalgia, but their sensitivity to feel pain and other stimulation is 3 to 4 times as strong. Between those two things, central sensitization, it's common in a lot of other medical disorders, leads in part to the extremes of the symptoms, but it's not the whole picture of the story. Thanks to 2 doses of my energy meds, I'm feeling a little more awake. Still not ready to tackle a weekend with my boyfriend, but ready as I'm going to be to play along as best I can and try to make sure I get good sleep. It's important to get good sleep. Sleep issues are common in CFS and fibromyalgia. You can be woken up by pain. You can be woken up by migraines. You can have difficulty falling asleep, staying asleep, waking early. And like I said, when I first started, that I wear a watch or check a clock before I go to sleep, because sleep doesn't make you feel rested like a normal person. It doesn't take the fatigue away. So you feel just as tired, if not more tired, when you wake up as when you went to bed for the night, whether you sleep for 1 hour or 10, or anything in between. And so in order to make sure I prioritize my sleep, if I wake up and I have to make myself go back to sleep to try to get a full night's sleep, because that's critical to help you feel the best possible, I will glance at my watch and make sure that it is an appropriate time for me to be getting up before I get out of the bed. If not, I will roll back over and wait until I fall back to sleep. Try to get one that is not like an alarm, not like the bright lights, the kind of lights that will wake you up in the middle of the night because of messing with your circadian rhythm. Have the right kind of watch or light to check the time, but it's helpful to make sure that you are getting quality sleep. Because anything that will make any normal person tired, sick, run down, extra stress, burning the candle at both ends, an actual cold or flu on top of your illness, not getting enough sleep at night, eating a poor quality diet, eating too much sugar, inflammatory substances, all of those things that will make anyone else feel like crap will make you feel more like crap than the next person and more run down than the next person. So it's really critical that you pay attention to your lifestyle habits. I spread my yoga into several bits and pieces, and I just got done packing. And the one thing I have left to do I didn't do my kitchen or any other cleaning or anything. I didn't film anything today at all. I'm still very brain fogged. I don't have the clarity of presence of mind to do anything but this, which is part of the reason why I'm doing this. It is to explain what's happening as it's happening. My muscles are weak and tired. It's heavy holding this cell phone up. Feels extremely heavy and my arm is shaking doing so. I just don't have the stamina and endurance today. I'm run down. But because of copious amounts of caffeine and my medications, it's masking the symptoms, but I have to make sure to remember not to exceed and pretend like I'm healthy, because I feel better than I felt earlier. Even though I still feel run down, I feel better than I felt earlier. I have to be careful what I do later with my partner, that I don't overdo my normal level of activity, or I will be bedridden and sick as a consequence of overdoing what my cells can offer me, because I'm masking it with medication and caffeine, stimulants, which is not the advised approach, although stimulants and caffeine have been used for the disorder in the past, but it's not ideal because it's not a cure. It just masks the symptoms and it leaves you vulnerable to live outside of your energy envelope, which is the amount of energy your body actually has to live on. And you overdo it, and you don't know you overdo it until you get sick. I am packed up. It is, like I said, 10, 12 hours after I've woken up. And I finally finished my yoga and shaved my legs. I still got to brush my teeth before I'm able to go. And this is why I keep my second shift job, albeit part-time now, because it takes me so long to become even remotely functional. I've also taken extra ibuprofens and some more muscle cream to contain the pain. And it takes me quite a while. My brain still feels quite foggy, as I said. But in order to be even functional enough to do a job I've done for years that is pretty simplistic and straightforward in mind and body, it takes me between 4 and 8 hours after waking to get my body into some sort of constitution where I can do any kind of endurance activity. And then that starts to wane after about 3 or 4 hours of sustained activity, like on my job. After the second hour, when it hits our break time, I'm flagging and potentially reaching for more caffeine. You need to be careful doing that because it will interrupt your sleep cycle, and that just makes the situation worse. If you get your sleep cycle interrupted, anything that interferes with your sleep should be avoided, but sometimes I just can't make it through my shift without some more. And then I come home and I crash. I sleep like a rock. Like I said, sometimes on the couch, sometimes without even changing out of my uniform until morning. And I make sure to check and make sure it is actually morning before I wake up and get out of bed. And then I feel miserable for many hours. And then I have like a little window in there where I have enough medication, pain medication, energy medication, stimulants in me that I'm functional. I may be still tired physically. I may be still tired, sleepy tired. I may still be weak, and I may still be in pain, but it's tolerable. It's like having a minor hangover. It's tolerable. And then that starts to flag after 2 or 3 hours of sustained activity. And if I push it too much, I am sick. about 8 p.m., I am starting to drift, and I need to sit down or lay down, and by about 9, 9 to 9:30, I'm asleep for the night again, to repeat. And that is how I spend my time. This was hopefully informative. I'm sure there's more I could have said, but I need to hurry up and go brush my teeth before he shows up, and take a break and sit down for a little bit, because I'm sure he's going to want to do stuff, and I need to make sure I've got enough in me to do a little bit. So, yeah, that's a little bit of a glimpse in what my day-to-day is like with chronic fatigue, fibromyalgia, NRA. Good morning, goodbye, good evening, good life, good luck, resilience, endurance. It is what it is. You live with what you have. You don't have any other options. You make the best of what you have.